leading to the closure, and then there were a few issues with the governing council. Now that all those things have been resolved, we'll go to the university to find out how students and the school will be preparing for the full resumption of lectures on Monday.
Also coming up, minority in parliament stage walkout over reports on the creation of new regions. And later, Asante-Hene-led mediation committee handling Dagbon chieftaincy impasse completes roadmap to bring peace to the area.
Every political party will go through a phase where they will need to change leadership, find new direction, and how to prepare themselves really for major tasks ahead. And for the NDC, tomorrow's National Delegates Congress is no different. New positions or new personalities will be elected or retained depending on whether they want to go or not, or they are new people. Positions like the chairmanship, the secretaryship, and other very important positions will be determined. And I've been joined by my colleague, Fred Jabano, who has been following the NDC for quite some time and has a fairly good understanding of how that party functions and what tomorrow's event will mean for the future of the party. Fred, thank you very much for joining me on the Citi Newsroom. So how important is this Delegates Congress that the NDC will be having?
This is the first major elections the NDC is having after they lost their elections in 2016. They've had branch constituency elections, but this is really the major election where you're going to elect national executives who are going to steer the affairs of the party going into 2020. And you must also note that whilst in opposition, you must know that your national chairman is going to be the leader of the party until a flag bearer is elected. So this shows you the importance of these elections. Whoever comes tops in this particular election is going to lead the party as a national chairman. The general secretary is going to run the day-to-day affairs of the party. So it shows you how important these particular elections are. These elections, there are 7 positions being contested.
Seven. Okay.
One of the national chairman, then the vice chairman. There are going to be 2 vice chairmen to be elected in this particular election. There's the election of the general secretary and 2 deputies, the national organizer and 2 deputies, the communications officer and 2 deputies, and national executive members. These are executive members without portfolio. They are going to make up the National Executive Council of the party.
All right, so let's start off from the top and let's look at some of these important positions. Let's start off with the chairmanship position. Who are some of the names going for some of these positions, and what exactly do they bring to the table for delegates to choose?
Yes, Nathan, before you go on, there are 3 important positions which are going up for the grabs. These are the national chairman, which you started, the general secretary and the national organizer. These are very keen positions and very important and well-known members of the party contesting. As you said, the national chairman, we have 5 people contesting this particular elections. These 5 people include Betty Modidrusu. She's the current vice chairman of the party. You have Hudriaya, a former general secretary of the party and a former vice chairman of the party. You have Samuel Ofosuampofu. He's also director of elections during the 2016 elections and a current national vice chairman of the party. You have someone like Dan Abudakpi. He's a leading member of the party. He contested the elections in 2014 and lost. And we have Danyanan, a former Greater Accra regional chairman of the party, a former vice chairman of the party, and also a leading member of the party if it comes to the Greater Accra region. So these 5 people are going to be contesting this particular election.
These are 5 big names, 5 personalities that people who follow politics will be very familiar with. But let's talk about the other positions as well. You mentioned the national secretaryship, the general secretary.
This is the biggest contest because of
why is it the biggest contest? Why is it that is that one that's dominating the conversation?
Because of the 2 personalities contesting this particular election. You have Johnson Esedun, who is general secretary of the party.
He's incumbent now. He has a position now. Okay.
A well-known person all over the country, popularly known as General Mosquito. And you have his deputy, Poku Anidewu, also contesting him in this particular election. Poku is also known as the Blue. So you have the Blue contesting the Mosquito. These people are very instrumental have been very instrumental in the party. Quao was a former spokesperson for former President John Evans Atamils and the current General Secretary of the party. There have been conversations of General Mosquito or Johnson influencing the election of Quao as Deputy General Secretary of the party. There's also been conversations of General Mosquito promising Quao of not contesting this particular election. So going to bid for the position.
So from what you're saying, I mean, that particular position, that's the General Secretary of the NDC. Of course, then it will be keenly contested. Looking at the backstories you are giving about, Asedu Nketia and Quao, who are at least working together technically, but going at each other in that contest. Let's move on to the national organizer position. Who are those contestants?
We have a number of people contesting the national organizer position. The NDC national organizer position is one of the most attractive positions. It's currently being held by Kofi Adams, who is not contesting this particular election.
Any reasons why?
He hasn't given any reasons. According to him, he wants to move on to other things within the party. But then we have two incumbent deputy organizers contesting this particular elections. There's also a former organizer, Boateng, contesting this position. A former deputy general secretary of the party, Baba Jamal, also contesting this particular election, alongside other people. It's a position people are looking out because of the personalities within. Who is going to lead the party? Is it the incumbent, one of the incumbent deputies, or is going to be one of the new entrants? It's very interesting. It's one interesting position we should be looking out for. There's a communications officer position which is being contested by Fred Agbanyo and another interesting gentleman who is also well known within the party circles and within the media. It's a position we should also look out for. Then the executive position, which is out in portfolio, a number of people contesting, but then that position is not being spoken about because of the non-portfolio nature of it.
All right, Fred, thank you very much for joining us on the Citi Newsroom. So there you have it there, a great analysis of the various positions and the personalities who are going for these positions. Remember, they are trying to find new leadership for the NDC as they prepare for the 2020 elections. Now, according to the convention or tradition or the laid down practices, they are supposed to do this Congress 2 years or so to the next major election. So we are 2 years away from 2020, and so the NDC wants to find new leadership. We'll see if we can speak to some of the contestants, some of the candidates, to get their thoughts and to let us know how ready they are for the big event which is happening in Accra later tomorrow. We are still at the NDC's headquarters as we try to understand their preparations and readiness for the National Delegates Congress that will be held in Accra on Saturday. And I've been joined by one of the men who is contesting for one of the positions. I've been joined by Honorable Baba Jamal. He's contesting the national organizer slot. Good day and welcome to the Citi Newsroom. And how are you doing, sir?
Thank you. I'm doing great. I'm very fine and relaxed.
Ready?
Very, very ready. But I got ready about a week ago.
You got ready about a week ago?
Yes, so I'm ready.
Now, let's look at the position you are going for. It's a very important position in any political party, and the NDC is a very important political party. What do you bring to that position, and why do you think the delegates need to choose you as the one to organize their ranks as you prepare for the 2020 elections?
I don't think that any person who follows politics in this country does not know who Baba Jamal is. I have been in the political system for close to 25 years, starting from my student days. I've been at the national level for close to 25 years. And in this party, I started as a secretary of the branch, went to the constituency as executive, went to national as the region, as deputy regional secretary in the Eastern region, before coming to national deputy general secretary for 2 times. So that tells you that when it comes to the party, bred through the party.
You have a thorough understanding
of all the workings of the party. And also when we came to government, I had the opportunity to become a deputy minister for 8 years. I went through 5 ministries. from Eastern to information to tourism to local government and then to labor relations. So I have all those vast experience coming with me. I'm also a practicing lawyer. And so for that matter, I have a legal background that I can also support about. So clearly, I'm coming with a vast experience that none of my competitors have. Even though I respect their right to contest as NDC people, they are all very respectable personalities. But I see myself as standing tall among them when it comes. And the party people know. The party people know those who have worked for this party. The party people know what we have done for this party. And so I'm very positive that the delegates will select me, come tomorrow, and then crown me as the national organizer.
But I mean, how will you fight off, for example, the threat or this idea that, you know, you've been around for a while and they may want to see somebody new or somebody with a different dynamic? How do you plan on fighting that particular element that sometimes tends to tilt elections in favor of one candidate or the other?
You know, this election that we have been around longer than I have, but the impact is what is more important. Okay. So this time we are going for competence. We are going for effectiveness. We are going for people who can deliver. People who are prepared to commit to die a little more than the normal process. You understand? So it's not about just coming new. If you are coming new and you don't want to have what it takes, how do you come new? But even if you are new and you have the competence that we need, we will allow you to do to be part of it. So it's not about being around or not being around. It is about competence, it is about effectiveness, and it is about experience. And also the bravado and bravery that you are bringing forward. You understand? Because it is not for novices, it's not for weaklings. It's for people who are prepared and ready to go all out.
All right. Just finally, following on that point about experience needed and effectiveness, what kind of mix do you think the NDC generally needs to have out of this election so that by election 2020 it can pose a very strong threat to the MPP?
NDC must go for experience. We must also go for competence. We must also go for people who are ready to work, who are hungry for power. People who are tried and tested and are ready to do battle. So it is not about whether they have been, and sometimes people even want to bring the regional balance onto the religious balance. I don't go in for those things. I will go in for competence. It doesn't matter if all the people are coming from one region and they are good and they can bring us power. That's what we want. If they all come from one religion and they will give us power, that is what we want. So it's not about the religion or it's about...
So for his competence, at the end of all this, the NDC should present a competent front.
Competent, credible leadership that will serve as a better alternative to the current government.
All right.
Looking at what is happening, you need people that the public can look at and say, look, we can entrust the governance of this country in their hands. So it's not about being around, it's not about... It is about competence, it is about effectiveness, it is about commitment, and also loyalty. People who have been in the system and have kept the fire burning all these years.
Honorable Jamal, we wish you the very best in the elections. So that was Honorable Baba Jamal, who is contesting the national organizership position of the NDC. Remember that on Saturday, the party heads to a National Delegates Congress just to find out if they can get new leadership or to elect new leadership, essentially, as they prepare for the 2020 elections as the country's leading opposition party. So the NDC, like I stated earlier, will be heading for a National Delegates Congress tomorrow. They are trying to find new leadership and also put themselves together ahead of the 2020 general elections. And I've been joined by Mr. James Asante, who's Director of Communications of the NDC. Hello, sir, and welcome to the Citi Newsroom.
Thank you very much.
How have the preparations been from when you thought of the date till when you are going to pull this event off tomorrow?
We launched our committees to organize this event about a month ago. Right, I must indicate that all is set for this particular event. It's the 9th. Right, since the party was established in 1992. We have about 65 aspirants, right?
65?
65. Various positions. We have officers, right? The national organizer position. We have the chairman position. We have their deputies. we have vice chairman, we have elected officers from National Executive Committee, we have a lot of them, right? But what I'm saying is that all of them are ready. In total, they are 65. We have about 6 women out of the 65. And I know all of them have gone around to talk to their people, gone down all over the country to sell their message, to tell them what they can do for them, their abilities and capabilities. And almost all of them are back. Right, so tomorrow we'll see all of them. Now, you told them about what they can do, what they cannot do. So it's a day of record. They're going to assess them.
How many delegates are expected to vote in the Congress?
Close to 9,000 delegates.
Close to 9,000 from all over the country.
Yeah, all over the country.
I mean, then it will be a very lengthy event because 9,000 people voting for different positions. It will drag.
We are well organized, and we don't expect it to travel for a long time. We've arranged it in such a way that within some few hours it will be over. But some are coming from far away, north and other places. So we expect that we do it quickly for everybody to go home. I mean, they're very peaceful.
Mr. Asante, I mean, every time there are elections, you always have a few incidents here and there, disagreements, misunderstandings. What measures have you put in place to ensure that delegates and candidates will be satisfied with whatever outcome the elections produce?
Well, the point is that it's a human institution, human organization, so we don't expect us to be perfect. On ups and downs, agreements and disagreements that we are seeing. So we want to assure the public that we've done the military arrangements. Everything is in place for us to have a smooth Congress tomorrow. Like it's a human institution, we should expect anything to happen, but we are up for it.
All right. Mr. Asante, my final question has to do with, for example, the party followers who may not be in a position to vote, for example. What will you tell them? What assurance will you give them that no matter the outcome, the NDC will come out of this well prepared, well galvanized to face the challenge of election 2020? Because then you'll be going against a government that's in power, that won't have the advantage of incumbency. Some people believe it's an advantage, others think it's not. But what will you tell those who may not have a chance to vote but are so concerned about the NDC's fate and outcome out of this election?
Thank you very much. I mean, they know the task ahead of them. We need to recapture power. But things are not going well in the country. They know. So we've assured them, right, that they should do the right thing. Make sure they rally behind whoever come out. Be the chairman, be the deputy general, whoever wins is for NDC. Victory is for NDC, not for an individual. So they know the task ahead of us, and they're going to work hard to ensure that we come out as united as ever. Right.
All right, Mr. Asante, thank you very much, and we wish you the very best. All right. So you heard James Asante, who is the Director of Communications of the National Democratic Congress. They are preparing for their National Delegates Congress. A very, very crucial one. And like you heard, it's the 9th that they are holding in the history of the party, and one that essentially prepares them or puts them in that position to face the MPP in the 2020 general elections. Remember, the NDC is out of power, they are in the opposition. And so everything they do at that Congress will be geared at building a good force in terms of leadership and in terms of eventually producing a candidate that they feel can match the MPP at the polls come the year 2020. So the NDC's National Delegates Congress, not, I mean, only for the big people who are contesting. Yes, the elections are important, the positions are important, everything that surrounds it is important. But equally important are the support, the people who will be there to support one candidate or the other. And so I will try and get an understanding as to who they will be supporting, why they are supporting these particular candidates. And then maybe they'll give us a few songs, you know, cheering songs or songs of support for their various candidates. So I've been joined by one particular supporter. So hello, welcome to the Citi Newsroom. What's your name, sir?
I'm called the National Showman of the NDC.
National Showboy?
National Showman of the NDC.
National Showman of the NDC.
I'm from Ododo.
Okay. What's your name? What's your actual name?
My actual name is called Mantowi. Or Mancholi.
Okay. So I'm sure you'll be at the Congress tomorrow.
For all means, I'll be on the Congress.
Okay.
Area.
I mean, is there anybody you are supporting?
Anyway, me like I'm a ranking member of the NDC. I voted as a executive member.
Okay.
2016.
Okay.
And at the same time, I'm not making player. I'm not supporting player. I'm supporting the team.
You are supporting the team.
About the 2020.
Okay.
We have to put better stretches for winning 2020 elections.
Okay.
Because now things are hard.
Okay.
In town. But when you see things are so from, This one see you. If this is before you say you have paid your fare for you. By this time, when the person see you, he started making call. It's not easy.
Okay. So you want the NDC to put itself together?
Really, we have to be together to win 2020 election. Okay. One man cannot win.
One man
if you
cannot
lose, you have to be supporting the team so that we can achieve our goal. Okay. And one thing too, if you say you have
the peaceful walk and had been communicated was marred by violence in few hours. It was intense and chaotic throughout the day. Properties worth millions of cedis were vandalized by students. The turn of event caught government's attention. Subsequently, a 6 p.m. curfew was issued on the same day. This was followed by the closure of the school indefinitely.
The decision that has been taken by the Regional Security Council that today, from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. tomorrow morning, we've imposed a curfew on campus. So nobody is going to enter or go out after 6 p.m. All students must be in their halls of residence, in their rooms, from 6 p.m. up to 6 a.m. tomorrow morning. After that, between 6 a.m. and 12 noon, every student must vacate the campus, including student leaders.
A new governing council that appealed to both parties was constituted and subsequently sworn in on Tuesday, November 13, 2018. All unions who earlier locked horns with government immediately suspended their actions. Though school has reopened, the underlying issue, which is the conversion of the halls, still stands. Some alumni think management should return the halls to their former state.
Meanwhile, the Academic Board of the University has revised the academic calendar for the first semester. The move, according to authorities, has become necessary following the closure of the university after student protest led to the destruction of properties. Citi Newsroom's Ashanti regional correspondent Hafiz Tijani witnessed the arrival of the students and now reports.
They trooped in one after the other with their luggages in batches. They are part of the students who were affected by the closure of the KNUST after what was to be a peaceful protest turned chaotic. Chancellor of the university, Asantehene Tuffour II, led efforts to constitute a governing council, and the reopening date was announced. Some of the students have started arriving.
I was affected as a final year student going home. All what I went through was stress, thinking about how we would come back and continue our academic semester so that our graduation wouldn't be put to a halt. But now that they've called us back, I'm happy. We can continue and everything will be in place.
I was affected because we was about to have some big project works, exhibition, and all these things. We had school clothes that affected me plenty. Because now I'm about to learn about history of art. Now I'm about to start my exhibition and all these things. So I was affected very much.
It affected us a lot because actually we have courses that we have to be done. We have to finish by the end of the semester. We have to write exams on. So because of the closure, we weren't able to finish the courses. We weren't able to even write mid-semester. So it has affected us really, and I think it affected us in any way. It affected us in every way.
We didn't expect it, honestly, and the whole thing, you talking to your supervisors, we on the field, we didn't know whether we were part of the school or we were going home. So the message that we received from our supervisors was that we should still continue with the industrial attachments. And our parents were calling and asking, really so we just had to continue with it and still go on.
The police and military personnel who were deployed by the Ashanti Regional Security Council have since been withdrawn. For these students, they pray there is never a repetition of such violence.
I'm just hoping that the school will just consent with everything. Like, we are just praying that God will actually be on our side in everything that we do. We just hope for the best for KNUST. We just pray for the best, that everything will be well. We don't want all these things to happen again, to affect us in any way.
If anytime students' grievances are put to place, at least the authority should give them a listening ear. If they wouldn't consider, at least they should give them a listening ear. That would be better.
I think they should sit down and talk it and solve the problem, because it started as peaceful, but it ended up this way. So if next time they can sit down, the stakeholders can sit down and talk on this issue, I think it would be better that way.
Some parents who accompanied their wards want management to find a lasting solution to the matter.
And for the management, they should always have interactions with the student leadership. If they have some problems, they will let them know. They shouldn't wait, or they shouldn't regard them as children. So they should respect whatever views that they will bring to them. So I think that will not bring problems to the school again.
University Relations Officer Kwame Yabua outlines the revised academic calendar for the semester. He tells Citi News there's assurance by members of UTAG and other unions to work with the revised calendar.
For Monday, when lectures begin, the outstanding lectures and the mid-semester exams that were supposed to have taken place during the time of the crisis will be taken concurrently at the same time that the lectures are going on. The mid-semester will also be organized. And this, the chairman of the academic board asked the colleges, the departments and the faculties to meet and organize that, to see how best this can be arranged. So what I can say is lectures begins on Monday, it ends, lectures end, the outstanding mid-semester examinations to run concurrently. We go from Monday to 19th of December. Students will leave for home and come back on the 4th, right, the end of semester exams on Monday, which is 7th. And it also run till 18th of January. And they will have the semester break for 2 weeks. And then they will come back to start the second semester. The assurance is not in doubt. When the council was inaugurated, all the associations and unions also came out with a statement pledging to continue. Everybody is ready to make sure these new arrangements go on well, so that we all get what we want to have.
More students are still arriving on campus to continue their stay in the university. Reporting from KNUST, I am Hafiz Tijani for Citi News.
Right, Nathan. So good news there for students of the KNUST.
Well, yeah, it looks like a bit of closure has been reached. We just hope that they will be able to work within time and everything will be back to normal, because it could have an effect on the second semester and those graduating and all of that. But at least it's nice to see that they are returning and everything looks okay.
Exactly so, rightly so. Let's move on to some other stories. Now, the Asantehene-led mediation committee handling the Dagbon chieftaincy stalemate earlier today finalized its roadmap to the restoration of peace in Dagbon. The three eminent kings have resolved that the Abudu royals should perform the funeral of the late Yana Mahmudu Abdullahi beginning December 14 to 28, 2018. This will be followed by the funeral of the late Yana Yakubu Andani II from January 4 to 18, 2019. The two funerals are to be performed in the old Gbewa Palace in Yendi.
Rehabilitation of the old Gbewa Palace is set to begin with immediate effect. The mediation committee is to meet President Nana Addo Dankwa-Akufo-Addo at the Jubilee House next Wednesday. The latest decision is in line with the current government's resolve to permanently, find a solution to the age-long Dagbong chieftaincy impasse.
Right, so finally some closure on that matter as well.
That's also great to hear. It's lingered for a long time.
Exactly.
And it's fantastic to see that the roadmap is finally here.
Right.
Let's just hope that all the parties will follow through and we can have some proper end to this saga.
Sure. You're still watching the Citi Newsroom. We'll pause for a breather, but when we return, minority in Parliament stage walkout over report on the creation of new regions. Please stay.
Hi, good morning. You're welcome to The Big Issue. The Big Issue is live from our studios here at number 11, Dr. Martin Lupin Adabraka in Accra.
It's engaging, detailed, and loaded with factual and incisive analysis. It's The Big Issue, your preferred Saturday morning news and current affairs analysis program on Citi TV.
He has nothing to do with his blackness, and we have to stop that. See, we are trying to match ourselves up to a certain standard in the Western world. And then when you go and you are caught and you do things wrong in the Anglo, then you come and say, hey, you are doing this because I'm black.
It's The Big Issue with Stella Madonu on Citi TV. This and every Saturday at 9 a.m.
Get the backstory of the major news stories on Press Conference. Hear from the editors and the reporters behind the biggest stories of the week.
The university needs to think and reconsider. There are women who are in our universities who have been sexually molested for grades. Doesn't matter.
Press Conference every Sunday at 9 p.m. with Duke Mensa Opoku. Only on Citi TV.
Welcome back to the Citi Newsroom. Thank you very much for staying with us. Let's get to Parliament, where the minority in that guest house earlier today staged a boycott in the House over what they called the Speaker's conduct in the consideration of the CI for the referendum on the creation of the new regions. The minority is also not too enthused about government's decision to contract a $1.5 billion loan through the securitization of the GET fund.
Now, the minority leader had raised objections about the consideration of the CI because members did not have copies of the Justice Brobe Commission report for perusal before deliberation on the report of Subsidiary Legislation Committee. There is more in the following report.
The minority staged a boycott after the House considered the report of the Subsidiary Legislation Committee for CI 109 for the referendum for the creation of the new regions. The minority leader Haruna Idrisu led his side out of the House, but after he left, Adaklu MP Kwame Agboja raised concerns about the approval. And then this drama ensued.
Indeed, even the majority, this not all the number. All Mr. Speaker could have done, all I requested from Mr. Speaker was to listen to me, even rule against me. That would have been the tenet of democracy. But to ignore me to the extent that as if we don't exist, Mr. Speaker, that cannot be right. And I will repeat, I don't expect Speaker to pretend that he didn't see me or he didn't see anybody on the minority side. If I say Speaker if I even say Speaker is the worst I've ever seen, That is my right. This house is guided by rules. And Mr. Speaker, when he got up at first, he spoke not to the mic. Whatever he said, I consider gibberish because he didn't speak to the mic. That is insult. You call the speaker the West. That's not an insult. A person who is trained in his house will not pour outside gibberish.
Minority Leader Harry Naidruso later explained the action of the side to the press.
No one should attempt to create an impression as if the NDC or the NDC minority is against the principle of the creation of regions. Indeed, we promised 5 in our manifesto of 2016, but the outcomes was a wish of the Ghanaian people. So the principle of creation, we've shared it long before today, and we still support the creation of regions. But process and procedure must be respected. And what is wrong to demand the findings of a commission of inquiry report from a president who professes to uphold the rule of law, respect principles and values of transparency and accountability?
But the Majority Leader of Chairman Sabonso responded to the Minority Leader and faulted his entire approach to the matter at hand.
It is the Electoral Commission that, if members of Parliament so desire, then they would submit a copy of that report to the Subsidiary Legislation Committee, which is what they did. So, for anybody to suggest that the minister ought to have served Parliament, that person has not applied himself to the Constitution. If he has, he will not be making that request of the minister, which is why I said that demand on the minister is completely misplaced. In Parliament, there is a committee that oversees the activities of the Electoral Commission. That committee is the Special Budget Committee. So if anybody requires it from the Electoral Commission, as if Parliament plenarily requires it, then it is, and if it has to be tabled, it has to be tabled through the Special Budget Committee.
The House considered the motion for the $1.5 million securitization loan of the GET Fund, but the vote was suspended for lack of numbers. So for keen watchers of parliamentary proceedings in the country, many thought that there was some form of a reign of peace between the minority and the Speaker, but some form of tensions were resurrected today, which the minority says is according to the conduct of the Speaker, especially with regard to his failure to recognize some of them during the consideration and the debate of the Subsidiary Legislation Committee report with regards to the CI for the referendum for the creation of new regions. Again, the minority is also raising some questions about the securitization deal of the $1.5 million facility for the GET Fund, which is supposed to put in place educational infrastructure in the country. Well, the minority staged a walkout, and we don't know how long this is going to last. Out of the ordinary, tomorrow, Saturday, Parliament is going to sit in the morning, ostensibly to allow for time for some of these legislative instruments and constitutional instruments that need to mature in 21 days to take full effect after that time. Reporting from the Job 600 building right here in Parliament, my name is Duke Mentopoku for Citi News.
Let's get to some other stories. And 2 of the 6 contractors brought in by government to work on the abandoned footbridges on the Medina-Adenta Highway are on site a week after violent demonstrations by residents. My colleague Eugenia Tinkran goes back to Adenta to find out the progress of their task and how the community is responding to the construction works.
2 out of the 6 contractors contracted by the government to complete works on the abandoned footbridges along the Medina-Adenta Road have reported to site. One of the 2, Quao Construction Limited, is responsible for the footbridge in front of the West Africa Senior High School, where the last accident happened.
Today, we've been handed over this bridge to fix. So we are here today to talk to the people around the bridge that we need to cordon off the working space. So we have our first site meeting with the residents around because we want to move in heavy equipment by next week to start to do some of the demolition works and excavation works. Yeah.
A number of businesses around the bridge will either be evicted or their businesses cordoned off for works to start, even though some, like the scrap dealer, have agreed to move.
And today that they come and say we should move and give them space because they are coming to start the roads tomorrow. Yeah, we have to move because we need the roads to complete. And so we have to move and give them chance. After they finish their job, then we'll come back and doing our work here.
Others are demanding for some compensation.
What can I have a value? Honey, at the end, I'm a value and sketchy mu afraid your money. Bow, but oh, ye pana there was a or also no, wounds or no, so bewo pain or baby cacra. Oh, buy an say, yes, sir, be and through one yenesa.
Under the high tension, 10 meters in, your reservation for government. On the road, 40 meters in is reservation for government. Yanka say, Muntu, yes, see, you better block Hakakra near Yajumamamu. Yeah, we remove the barricade. You have access to it. Oh, Aban is just trying to work on his own land. Came close.
It's been over 10 years since the uncompleted footbridges were put up on the stretch. But it was not until after the people vented their anger in a series of demonstrations which prompted the government to act.
It's Adenta SDA Junction, one of the many accident-prone spots along the Adenta-Medina Road. Now, exactly a week and 1 day ago, when the people of Adenta spontaneously demonstrated against the lack of footbridges along the road, the government said it was going to do 4 things. First of all, commence work on the abandoned footbridges in 1 week. It also said that it will intensify road safety education, targeting drivers and pedestrians. It will deploy police officers along the road to enforce road regulations. And lastly, it will fix street lights and traffic lights that are broken down along the stretch. Now, have all of these been done? That is the question I'm asking the people of Adenta.
This is the atomic road leading to Adenta at night. Despite the promise to fix streets and traffic lights, some parts of the roads remain dark. Even though police from the MTTD have been deployed to assist pedestrians cross the road, residents complain they leave at about 5 p.m., leaving pedestrians to their fate until the next morning.
Yesterday around 11 p.m., then they came to construct this zebra crossing. I think this is the only change I've seen so far. And the policemen are always here from morning to 5 o'clock, directing the students and the pedestrians to cross the road. Yeah.
So after 5 o'clock, how do the people cross the road?
Well, it's up to them.
We have seen the new changes. We've seen that they are working on the traffic light as well as the footbridges. But the one funny thing is the footbridges, where the problem is exactly, they are not starting at that particular place. They are starting at where there's no problem. I may say there's no problem there. Because where the car has been knocking people, killing people, is SDA Junction here, SDA footbridge. It's just SDA traffic light that we've seen improvement. They are working on it, but it's not working. But the street lights, they are on. Some are working, some are not working.
Oh, now, since we've seen that they've done a pedestrian crossing over here, so whenever the drivers also see, they do respect the crossing and we also cross. Yeah. The street lights, some are fixed, but some are not fixed. So we are pleading with the government that as you have started, you should complete with everything. We have seen everything. He's doing well.
Meanwhile, drivers here say they are yet to spot road safety officials educating anyone on road safety.
Oh, so far, dear, you know who be we hope you say Bibi Sabeba. You hope you say Bibi Sabeba, but I know say before to Tunyama, ebe
me obi amba asase obekam bi sa kire ha na wodo bia ana at the same time so ye hu police bi o ha obekam bi sa kire nti ye wa twem so mabadia.
Nonetheless, the residents are happy they are seeing some progress which will drastically help reduce the number of deaths on the stretch.
It's only a matter of time that these footbridges along the Adenta-Medina stretch, which have been described as white elephants by residents here, will come back to life. Reporting for Citi News, I am Eugenia Tenkran.
There was a standoff between the police and commercial driver unions in the Hohoi municipality of the Volta region over a protest about the poor state of Hohoi town roads. The unions earlier today blocked all lorry stations and roads in the municipality, bringing activities in the municipality to a standstill. They say the state of the road is severely affecting their work. Following a confrontation with police in the area against the planned demonstration, the drivers have refused to work and prevented other drivers from working, leaving commuters stranded. A secretary to the GPRTU Hohoi branch, Winfred Akpa, spoke to Citi News.
Most of the time, the governments, they will come, and when they come, they will come and promise. We initiated an action, we sent a petition to the presidency through the regional minister in April, and even the letter was not acknowledged until we have to write back to them. That's as a follow-up. Yes, as a follow-up, before the letter was acknowledged from the regional level, not even from the presidency or national level, from the regional level. And then the president came, we planned a demonstration in July, but the president came and said 2 months. After 2 months, we see the contractors on the road. 2 months has passed, we didn't see anything. We went back to the police and said we want to organize a demonstration, peaceful demonstration, of course. I may say the police has persuaded us to some extent, so we accepted it. So this is the 4th letter that we have sent to the police that we want to demonstrate. And somewhere along the line, police, they started tossing us one way or the other. And they said they don't want the demonstration to come up. So it was yesterday, 6 o'clock. The divisional, that is, how do you call it, the municipal commander went in at Boateng on obtain. It's not even release. It's an injunction release. When he wants to move, you have to be there before he can move. So we are supposed to be at Quao today to come to court, at court over there, the High Court. So he came and then we sent some of our men over there. So we decided that we will not organize the demonstration as planned. But rather,
let's get to the Western region, where residents of Insuta in the Takwa Nswaye municipality blocked the main Takwa-Takrady road in protest after a truck carrying manganese knocked down and killed a 15-year-old boy early this morning. Citi News' Western regional correspondent Obrimpoyo Ampafo has the details from the area.
Residents of Insuta, a suburb of Takwa in the Takwa Nswaye municipality here in the Western region this morning, blocked the main road from the Ghana Manganese Company Limited to the Takrady Highway. They burned ties and chanted war songs to register their displeasure over the death of a 15-year-old primary pupil who was knocked down and killed by one of the heavy-duty manganese hauling trucks.
That's the problem because I don't find all this business. No, so far as I'm no, dear, before no tune can or buy. It's a band, small band, or Shatala White. Another, I didn't be as a can of buy a bucket to 2 B. I won't watch you said it. I was so to know the bonus. Driver, don't drive an edge. It's rather on the front of Pano. I know what channel. I want you. And I'm watching on the back. According to residents, the Ghana Manganese Company Limited hauling trucks have played a key role in the fast deterioration of the road from the company's entrance to the highway, with the latest being the killing of some 2 children in a matter of 3 days. They say their wish is to get the GMC to fix the railway line so it could use it to haul the manganese and stop using the deadly trucks on the road.
Road is Western region of Pakistan, what if a casa, Yapano, and way. It's a Kwame Kumaya train or the May. Yelly a catch up on the service of the Williamsa. The Yamuna de Yajidi and Yabuno, Yamumi at the trainers, Yamako for car, Yay, Yokotoku State for car. The Plakacha Ghana bind there. I bind on the Western region in Dinia. Yo Coco, yo Timber, yo Good, yo Bossite, yo Bibia Western region. That's what the car, no other chief. Kwame Kumaya train, what for training to them loading Yanko. I didn't know Pelifono, what pack a train Eguma, 50 years, 20 years. I buy your baby or that. Not 20 when I say, no, what the car would actually. One man, and it's the car, and young people want you to
Osana yama kwa school la ya suku ye. Osana abana na mahapa na wapwa. Inyafi na kala anya mawapa wa otam ya kasi wapwa maframa. Inti kasa akati what you want to car kwa you do. What you want to assembly and what you.
Meanwhile, Assembly member for the Insuta electoral area, Goldberg Mensah, says the residents will have to calm down while they negotiate with the company to get their concerns addressed. Earlier, it was the protest for the Takoradi Highway to be fixed because of the numerous potholes that were on the road. This time round, it is the big trucks themselves that the people do not want to see again. Their demand is simple. Bauxite can be hauled by train. Fix the train lines, let them use the train, and then the road will be off from these big trucks. That has been their demand. It's very simple. Until this demand is met, the people say, no way. Reporting from the GMC junction here at Insuta in Takwa, my name is Sobrin Poya Ambofo for Citi News.
Right. Nathan, so big day tomorrow for the NDC.
Yes, a very, very important day. I was at the headquarters earlier, and you could tell that they were ready, they were prepped, they were pumped, and it's a very crucial time because, like we said, they need to find new leadership.
Exactly.
Eventually, they'll find a new flag bearer and all that. But it's a very, very important.
I understand the euphoria was great out there today.
Yes. When we got there, even when we were leaving, they were ready. So tomorrow at the Trade Fair Center, it will be a very, very important thing for the NDC.
And definitely Citi TV will be there to bring you all the details from the NDC's Congress. Many thanks for watching the Citi Newsroom. For more news, please visit citinewsroom.com. My name is Tuffour Boateng.
And my name is Nathan Quao. Thank you very much for watching.